South Forge. Wanted to hop on here with a little short video and talk about something that I hadn't talked about. Making these blades, and that's annealing, or normalizing your steel. Some people call it annealing, some people call it normalizing. I call it annealing. And mostly what I make my blades out of, the reason I'm doing this is because I've been asked, Facebook and phone calls, let me know, hey, I tried forging a knife and every time I quench it, it warps up or it breaks, it cracks, whatever. And I'd ask them, hey, did you anneal the steel? Well, no, I didn't. What's that mean exactly? And I told them. So I figured I would just do a little quick video about it since I hadn't mentioned it. But usually on my knives, what I use old steel, and it's usually like this. This is an old piece of leaf spring off of a 38 Chrysler. And this is an old tine off of a hay rake or dump rake, whatever you call it. I've always called it a hay rake. And I'll just chop me a little piece off here about 3 or 4 inches long. And that's what I forge a blade out of. It don't take much of it to make a good size little knife. I'll cut a little piece off here or split it, you know, 3 inches long, 4 inches long, and that's plenty. But this steel is already hard. It was hardened a long time ago. It's a spring, so it's still got that hardness to it. And if you cut a piece off and just put it in the forge and start hammering on it, it'll move. It'll forge, but a lot of times, even then, if you don't anneal it, it'll start splitting and cracking on you. So you got to run it through the annealing process. And all you got to do, and I know a lot of y'all know what I'm getting at, but some of you people that's just now getting into this, or it wants to try their hand at it, they don't know. And if I can help, you know, just one person out there, it'll save them the headache of having go through all the labor of forging a blade, and then right there at the end of it, when you're getting excited about it, just have it all just go to pot on you. If I can keep that from happening to one person, it's worth the video. So anyway, when you cut your steel, whatever it is you're using, you know, as long as it's spring steel, we're talking about hardened spring steel or high carbon steel, not mild steel, because mild steel ain't worth a flip for a blade. You cut your piece off, bring it and you heat it up. You gotta anneal it. This is the annealing process. And it don't have to be, you know, hell hot, glowing like the sun. You don't want it that hot. It don't have to be that hot. And a camera has got a tendency usually of making a piece of metal look hotter on camera than what it really is. And this is probably showing up a little hotter, but you see that nice little cherry red? That's all you need. And what I'll do, usually the day before, or a lot of people anneal it overnight. I don't. I anneal it for 2 or 3 hours when it's cool. It's cool. But I get it up to that color and I just put it in my coals on the coal forge and cover it up. And just let that cool down with the forge, and it'll be annealed. It'll be perfect the next day. And I got this bucket of coal ash that I keep. I can also heat that piece of steel up just like it is and just plunge it down in there. And that's what it does, you know, it insulates it. It insulates that steel, and it don't cool down too quick, because if it cools down, the air cools too quick, it's going to go right back hard, or at least it'll go back hard in spots, and then you got trouble again. Believe me, you don't want to go through all that forging and shaping just to lose it at the end. Now the smoke's going to choke me out. See if we can get a little air and get that going. But anyway, like I say, I just put it in the forge and I leave it overnight, because usually I'll come out here and I've got one. I'll finish a blade and then I'll get a piece of steel prepped for forging the next day. Now if you're using a propane forge and you ain't got all this coal ash around, hardwood ashes are good. Or you know, and so you can forge a knife with a propane, or not a propane, but an acetylene torch. You don't need a forge. If you got a good hard surface to work as an anvil, a hammer, and something to hold it with, a pair of tongs or vice grips, that's all you need. And you can use, you know, hardwood ash. A lot of people's got ash that's laying around in their fire pit. If you got enough of that, you can heat it up to that nice soft red, put it in that ash, cover it up real good, and that'll insulate it. Some people use vermiculite, and you know, that's the stuff that it's a non-abrasive, it's almost got like a cork consistency to it, and that's what they use to trowel the bottoms of swimming pools that the liner sets on. It's non-abrasive, so it don't cut the liner. We're not going to get into swimming pools, but Anyway, you can use that. You can get that at pool supply stores. Most pool supply stores, if they don't got it, they can get it for you, and that works really well. Heat it up, plunge it down in that, make sure it's deep and covered up with a good 3 or 5 gallon bucket full. Put that steel in there, and then after it's cool enough for you to handle it, it's cool enough to start forging. Then you can get it in the forge and just hammer away on it. And also, when you went through that process and you've annealed it, just like I've showed you right here, like I say, it don't have to be just hot glowing. You know, that's all that piece of steel needs. But it, you know, just make sure it stays in there long enough to soak through, and it gets all the grain through and through of the steel, and it's all lined up in there like it's supposed to be, evenly and uniformly. I forgot what I was about to say. I was going somewhere. But like I say, if you got the propane forges, you can build you a fire. I mean, there's a lot of us that got fire pits and bonfires we do on the weekends. Build you a nice little good sized fire, cut you off a piece of this. If this is what you're going to use, something like this, put it in the fire. Just throw it in the fire and let it heat up with the fire, and as long as you're not going to pour water on the fire to douse it, because that's going to destroy it, especially this spring steel. It don't like water. So, but just let it cool down real slow with the fire. The next day it's ready to go. Then you're good to forge. But with that being said, that's not the last time you're going to have to do it. After you get your blade forged out from that piece of steel you've already annealed, and just say I had a blade forged out here like this one that my son forged, and this forged out of this old spring stock right here. He's still working on it. So if I get it forged out to this today, I can't just throw it to the side and let it cool off and start hammering on it tomorrow, because you're going to be right back in the same mess you was going to be if you hadn't annealed it to begin with. You're going to have to anneal it again, because it's done laid around and probably air cooled in spots. And if you go to hammering on it again, you're just going to crack and split. And if it don't crack and split, I can guarantee you, come quench day, it's going to be too wet to plow. And it's going to be very, very, just go ahead and get set for disappointment, because that's what you're going to have 9 times out of 10. So when you get through heating this and working on it, you put it back in the fire, get it back up to that nice little cherry red, and let it cool off again until the next time you start heating and beating on it and get it finished, okay? And once you're done, you got all your hammering done, you got all your filing done, whatever you want to do, grinding on it, it's all good and straight. Go ahead and anneal it again. It don't hurt to anneal it again. Make sure it's all annealed and heated uniformly throughout from the tang to the tip. Let it anneal, and then you're ready to quench. And again, in the quench, that's something you're probably going to have to just kind of experiment with on your own, getting the consistency right and getting it to harden right. A lot of people's mistake is, well, I'm just going to say it, they watch these game shows, and you'll see a lot of people on videos. I mean, that knife is just so hot, you can't even look at it. It's white hot, and you plunge that even in hot oil, you're probably gonna get a crack, you're gonna get a warp. At least the edge is probably gonna break off on you. It don't have to be that hot. You know, just like I say, it's just something you're gonna have to experiment with. But a lot of people, they'll use a magnet, do all that magnetic crap. When the magnet don't stick to it, it's time to quench, and I guess that works fine. But if you do it enough times, you'll get to know just by your color. And let me throw that in there too, color. Like right now, light's pretty low. It's getting late in the evening, or late in the afternoon anyway. And I can tell my color's pretty good. And usually when I quench, or I go inside and I cut the light, I got really, really low light conditions, I can tell how hot my steel is. On a bright sunny day, by the time your eyes can tell that that blade is hot enough and it's getting to where it needs to be, you may have done cooked it. And you know, when you see them little sparks coming off of it, it's done. I mean, it's over with. It just burns down like a sparkler. So don't get it too hot. Get it hot enough, but don't get it too hot. And I'll cover that in another video. We'll go through quenching and maybe some more annealing, but I just wanted to throw that in there. Don't forget to anneal your steel if it's this old steel, like I say, because this has done been, you know, it's see, it's a spring already. It's done been heat treated and tempered out to a spring. You got to draw it back to normal again so you can forge it into the shape you want it, and then you go through the annealing and the hardening and drawing it back process. I think that's about all that I can remember to talk about right now as far as the annealing goes. But anyway, don't forget to do that. Now, one thing I will say, if you're buying brand new steel, like 1084, 1095, 5160, whatever it is, usually if you're buying it new, if it's new stock for making knives or whatever, usually it comes, what is it, I think NJ Steel Baron out of New Jersey. All of their stuff, as far as I know, especially like 1084, 1095, it comes annealed. So when you get it, it's already annealed. You can cut off a piece of it and start hammering it. But even then, I check it just to make sure it is, because it is it's just a real disappointment to have all that work into a blade, especially one you really liking, you know, and it's looking good, and you got visions of sugar plums dancing in your head about the finished product, only to hear that dink in the quench tank, or have it warp up on you. But anyway, I'm gonna leave y'all with that. I hope maybe this helps some people out. And I failed to mention, like I say, the only reason I did this video, because I've got a few phone calls, I got a few Facebook inbox messages, and so I thought I'd talk about it. Don't forget to anneal. And I'm gonna let y'all go. It's getting to be about supper time. I'll see y'all in the next video. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to like and subscribe to my channel. Okay, hit the subscribe button, hit the notification bell, and y'all get these as soon as they come out. You get to watch them. Fun. But anyway, I'm gonna get out of here and let y'all go. I appreciate you watching. I'll see you on the next one. Have a good one.